right. We're going to start in a few minutes. We're just waiting for everyone to come in. So do give us a couple of more minutes. Cynthia, could you tell me how you got into palmistry? So that will be our sound check.
Yeah, sure. It actually chose me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a kind of a crazy story, actually. I had recently sold a restaurant. So I had run a restaurant with my ex-husband for about 7 years.
Okay.
And I was officially retired. I was still really young, though. I was in my early 30s. And I had no idea what I was going to do with the rest of my life. So I ended up going to the library because I love the library and I love to learn. I'm always reading and studying. And I picked up a book on palmistry.
Yeah.
And I had never studied it before. I had never thought about it before. And when I took it home and I started to just get into the material, start reading the pages and look at the pictures. And I had this really profound deja vu experience where I felt like you have read this book before and you have studied this before.
Oh.
And I don't know where it came from. It was just like this really strange feeling. And I got this intuitive hit that I needed to study it again. So it's like, you need to pay attention to this book because you need to study it again. And I was just like, okay, it was so weird. So I ended up practicing on my husband at the time. I'm like, hey, do you mind if I check out a few things? You tell me if it's right or wrong, or what do you think? And he was open to it, which was good. And I ended up having a lot of people that I would just approach, and I would tell them I was, just learning, like a total beginner. And they're like, oh, tell me. And they would hold their hands out like this, tell me, what do you see? And I'm like, okay. So then I would start to point some things out, and the response was so positive.
Oh.
I couldn't believe how positive it was. It was just like, okay, well, not only are they giving me like this great feedback, but they wanted more. And that was kind of my cue, maybe I'm onto something here. So I ended up diving just headfirst into the whole thing.
Good for us.
Yeah, it just was crazy. It was so profound. I can't think of any other time in my life that I've had such a deep connection to something so quickly. It was like that, and I've studied other stuff too. I've studied astrology and Chinese astrology and numerology. I mean, I've delved into pretty much everything. And I find all of it fascinating, and I love everything. But there's something very special about palm reading for me anyways. So that's how I kind of got that little nudge, the nudge from the universe.
That's wonderful. That's really, really wonderful. We're just going to start in a few minutes. Cynthia, have you read a lot of Indian hands?
Honestly, no.
Is there anything different in terms of hands are hands, right? Like, it doesn't matter where in the world.
Yeah, being from America, I live in the Western United States in Arizona. I'm in a beautiful town called Sedona, Arizona, which I don't know if anybody's over there has heard of it, but it's quite famous here in America, being very spiritually oriented. Yes. And it's also, as far as the beauty goes, it's spectacularly beautiful.
Oh.
So we have these red cliffs everywhere, and it's so beautiful.
I know. So I know a few people who bring back crystals and things like that from Sedona.
Oh, I have a crystal I want to show you. Check this guy out.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
This is my clear quartz crystal heart flame.
Wow.
And it's one of my favorites. So I brought this one today. And I also I've got a bunch here. So I have this one, which is such beauty. This is malachite. And it's been carved into a hand. Yeah. I actually have the right hand and the left hand for this one, which is really awesome.
That is gorgeous. I love the colors of malachite.
I've got this pretty copper, because we do have copper here in Arizona. So this came from Arizona. And then I've got this really exotic one. I'll try to get it moved over here so you guys can see it. It's really cool. It's called Hedenbergite. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No, I've not heard of that actually.
It's quite rare.
Oh, that's a huge piece.
Yeah, I have to slide it because it's like super heavy. But it's from Mongolia. Oh. And it looks like a tree, which is so beautiful to me. It's just like, I love the wood element for me, because in the Chinese astrology, that's a prosperous element for me. Oh. And this piece I did get here in Arizona, and I just asked it what it did, because I had never heard of it before, and I didn't, so I talked to crystals, something I do. And it said it connected cosmic heart energy to your heart center. Oh. So it like anchors it into your heart center. So I always have it on my desk, because I feel like whoever I'm in contact with or whoever I'm talking to, it connects to them too.
Oh, how lovely. It's beautiful.
Such a beautiful crystal, isn't it?
It really is beautiful. I like how the colors are slightly different on this side.
Yeah, they're slightly different. It's definitely a darkish green, and it's got black. Yeah. So it definitely has sort of that anchoring kind of feeling. It's very heavy also, and it's on this really cool stand that spins. So I just love it. Yeah, so that's my guy right there. Keeps me anchored. Anchored in love.
And I think that is something that everyone is looking to be.
For sure.
All righty. So hello, everyone. Today we've got a topic that is close to our heart, close to our deepest desires, and a process that can be both magical, rewarding, fulfilling, but also one of the hardest and most heartbreaking to go through, finding a soulmate. Some of us struggle with what we are looking for. Some of us aren't sure what's right for us. Some of us know vaguely, but don't know how to attract a soulmate. And some of us are married. So we're scratching our heads, looking at that uncle on the sofa, wondering, damn, is it too late for me to even think about this? Well, we'll tell you, it's not. Yeah, it's not too late. And no, we don't mean you go back to the store and exchange him. But today's call we're going to be talking about all of this. And today's call is particularly like doubly special, because our speaker today is a practitioner of a modality that we are historically very deeply linked to in India, palmistry. Yeah. So we have today Cynthia Clarke, a wonderfully gentle and insightful palm reader who has helped over 7,000 people in the last 12 years. Yeah. She's helped them ignite soulmate connections. She's a spiritual teacher and the author of the book, Stories in Your Hands, Discover Your Authentic Destiny Using Palmistry and Tarot. She now focuses on healing people's emotional blockages, identifying, real compatibility, and helping people find long-lasting love through merging ancient science, modern technology, and quantum physics. Okay. So Cynthia, big, warm welcome to you on the Mystic Lotus Awesome Women's Tele Summit. So lovely to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. This is such a pleasure. Thank you.
Cynthia, I don't know if you know this. In India, our idea of a soulmate is often formed by what we, see in Bollywood. So in Bollywood, you'll see concepts like there's one person for each one of us, yeah. And when you meet them, you'll hear music and the breeze will blow in our hair, mostly cheesy things like that. But I'd like to know, how do you define soulmate connections?
Yes. Well, oftentimes it does not happen that way. This is definitely true. When I found my husband, I had no idea he was the one. And so, I mean, it can happen that way. He actually recognized me before I recognized him. And as soon as he saw my eyes, it was like he knew. But I was still married to my first husband at the time. And I had no interest, right? Because I was married. So it just, a lot of people do think that it's going to be this fairy tale kind of thing. And it can be. I'm not going to say it can't be. But for the vast majority of people, it will be a progression, and it will be, I would actually encourage friendship first, because that can help you to get to know somebody from more of that, let's say, less pressured area. Yeah. We put so much pressure on ourselves, and we try to we're, especially if we're looking for a soulmate, sometimes we come from this like desperate space where it's like, oh, if I don't meet my soulmate, I'm going to turn into an old spinster. We think the boat is going to pass us by and we're never going to find them. And this is simply not true either, because I've worked with people in their 80s and 90s, and I tell them, you know what, if you have that fire in your heart that you want to find somebody, that's fantastic. And a lot of them have been through other marriages, and they've actually spoken to their spouse before they passed, and they were like, yeah, I want you to go find somebody else. My husband has even said that. He's like, if I go before you, I don't ever want you to be alone. He's like, go find somebody. So, it can happen in different ways for different people, but a soulmate connection, in my opinion, is going to be something that is a deeply resonant soul. So that's somebody who you just know you can count on them for anything. You feel a deep affection, but it goes even deeper than that. It goes to the level of the soul's purpose. Why are we here on this planet? And that person can actually help you to fulfill your purpose. They enhance your purpose. They're the ones that prop you up. And they're the ones who are, they would literally die for you if they had to. And hopefully they would never come to that, but you don't even have to talk about it. You just know it.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of connection that I would like for everybody. That type of deep connection.
So I'm actually going to read a couple of responses that we got to that question. Vanita Shri says, like, you have known each other for an eternity. Vandana says, soulmate is one, I believe, with who you have wonderful chemistry, a sense of togetherness. And Sheetal is saying, soulmate is one who helps us to grow spiritually.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
awesome.
Right. Why do you think, Cynthia, finding soulmates, or the search for a soulmate is so hard, considering how many ways we now have before us? I mean, we've got the internet, we've got dating apps, all of these things. Why is it still so difficult to, find someone who is a soulmate? and to be able to tell.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? I think we really just have I think we take the wrong approach in a lot of ways. You know, for example, a lot of times we have these expectations and we have, I mean, I've met with so many women and so many men who have this list of things that are requirements.
Yeah, 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 true, true.
And the list is impossible to fulfill, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And so it's like, okay, first of all, you're looking at the wrong things. If you're only looking at the superficial stuff, like they need to be a certain height, or they need to be within a certain age. That's a big one because, I mean, I'm 13 years younger than my husband.
Oh,
and, you know, that's quite a big gap. And a lot of people, that would stop them from even approaching somebody because of age. And sometimes I'll consult with people and I'll be like, you know what? You are the type of person that needs somebody older than you. And occasionally they'll look at me like, no, I want somebody my age or younger. And, you know, for some people, that's great. That it's just, you have to be a little bit more open-minded in your approach. So I would encourage people to, have goals, have an idea, but don't be so attached to it that you turn away potentially amazing people who could be that person to fulfill your dreams. And, you know, I went through a fatal attraction, what I call a fatal attraction relationship. It was very toxic. It was right after I got divorced. And it was, you know, I thought he was like the best, right? I thought he was handsome. He had it all put together. He had a degree from Harvard. You know, he was so smart. And I mean, he was athletic. He had like he ticked all the boxes. All the boxes. So at first I was thinking, oh, this is my next husband. And it turned out that no, I was learning a lesson, and I actually needed to learn a lesson, and it was all perfect. Like I look back on every single relationship I've ever had as being perfect for the time that I went through it, because it was an opportunity for me to grow. And had I not gone through that relationship, I would not have the perspective that I have now. But I highly recommend that people give people a chance. You know, I mean, I work on a totally different level in terms of compatibility, which is a tangible way to measure compatibility. But that's only one thing, okay? That's one little piece of the puzzle. And so I like to use it as a tool, but not as the only tool. You know, we always want to be discerning, but we also want to be open. So it's almost like a dance, right? It's like we have this misstep, or we'll, you know, step on his toes or whatever, but you've got to give yourself an opportunity to actually be successful. And I think a lot of people, they'll either, you know, jump into a relationship and they'll regret it. You know, it ends up being toxic, like my fatal attraction was. And thank goodness I didn't marry him. You know, that would have been a horrible mistake. So that was very fortunate, actually, that the universe was looking out for me. But all this time, my current husband, he was kind of in the background, and he was my friend. And we were, you know, I could go to him and I could cry on his shoulder. And he was like, it's okay. And he didn't push anything on me. And it took some time to figure it all out. So I would recommend people take that time to do that.
Cynthia, you mentioned fatal attraction. What is a fatal attraction?
Well, a fatal attraction is somebody you are going to initially be very attracted to. So that's why it kind of disguises as love, but it's really just lust. Okay.
Okay.
It's like, okay, yeah, this person is, you know, there's like this it feels like the real thing. But once you give it enough time, there will start to be the little red flags, right, that start to pop up. And the little red flags, you can tell if they are not good for you, if it goes especially against your personal ideals. Okay, so for example, they'll ask you to do things that would go against your ideals. Okay, so let me just give you an example, because this relationship was really, truly toxic. And so he had his daughter living with him. And I didn't live with him or anything. I would just go to his house. He would have me hide under his bed so that she wouldn't know that I was actually in the house. Oh. And it was just like, and she was 24 years old. She wasn't a child. She was an adult. And there was a buzzer going off, like, so, this is not right. Like, how can you even ask me to do this? So I ended up, just like, what are you doing? Right? Like, why are you doing this to me? Like, she can totally handle that you're in a relationship. She'd probably be really happy about it.
There's no reason to hide.
And she and the daughter and I actually got along very well. She was delightful. She was so much fun. And I wish her nothing but happiness. But that was just like a red flag, right? It was just one of those things. The other funny thing too, and of course I'm the palm reader, right? I had read his hands. And so I knew that we had some energy that was conflicting. I recognized it immediately. And yet I discounted the information at the time because I was in the mode of, I can fix him. And, this is a big mistake that I would highly recommend people not approach. Don't ever feel like you're going to fix them. Okay. Almost always what happens is when you get into the relationship, especially the intimate relationship, things are just they're going to be the same. They're not going to change. It's not your job to change them. Yeah. So it's better if you can, you need to be able to accept them for who they are. And if they have something like they're violating a boundary, stand up for yourself. I mean, I was in such a bad space because I had come off my divorce that I was not, my brain was turned off. It was just like, I'll do anything. I was in that desperate space. And when you're really insecure and you're desperate, you're going to make mistakes. And you're going to attract somebody who is probably going to mirror back to you things that you need to learn. So that's exactly what happened. And it was, it didn't work out. But that was such a blessing.
Yeah, my goodness. Thank you for sharing that, Cynthia. That stems from a personal experience. And I know that very often we are not in a great place and we still go for someone who we don't know whether they're really right or wrong. And then we more or less we see those red flags and we tend to ignore them because we're in such a bad space. We think we still need them.
Exactly. And and ultimately you have to respect yourself. You have to respect who you are. But you also have to know who you are. And that's a big thing that I feel. The more you know about who you are, the more empowered you're going to be to make better decisions. So if you don't even know who you are, then you're just kind of out there floating around and things are just randomly going to come to you.
Doing this whole exercise with a trial and error method.
Exactly. And so I feel, and that's why I love palmistry so much, and numerology and astrology. All these modalities give a piece of the puzzle and they're all incredibly useful. So if my recommendation, of course, to everybody is learn as much as you can about yourself. And the more you know, the more empowered you will be to make those decisions that are actually going to work for you. And if you have red flags coming up, that's a good sign to just maybe slow it down, maybe acknowledge the problem. I definitely don't recommend, just ignoring it. Speak up for yourself. Yeah. And say, you know what, this is not okay with me. And say why, and see what the response is, but do it respectfully, always be, I would never, ever tell somebody to be vengeful or, that is just a waste of time. That's toxic energy. That's just it's going to hang around your energy field.
Yeah.
You got to let it go.
So Cynthia, how does palmistry help you to understand yourself? How does palmistry help in this whole search to establish a soulmate connection? How does it help?
Palmistry is so amazing. It really is one of the greatest things ever because it is the mirror to everything about who you are. And there are actually 3 branches to palmistry. Okay. And this is, a lot of people don't really think about it. I don't think, palmistry's been around for thousands of years, at least 5,000 years. And it's believed to have originated from India or China. We're not sure, somewhere over there. So you guys started all of this beautiful science. And I do consider it a science because it's a language. You can learn the language and it will tell you things. And so you have the fingerprints, which are permanent. They form 5 months before you're born. They never change. That represents your soul imprint. Okay, so you can think of like your purpose, your life lesson, your overall theme of your life is going to be in your fingerprints, and also your palmar prints. You have prints in your palm as well. Okay. Then you've got your hand shape, which forms by the time you're about 6 years old. That's going to show your subconscious influences, because when you're a baby till you're about 6 years old, you're completely in your subconscious mind. Okay. So you're just absorbing everything around you from your parents, from your environment. You're picking up all sorts of stuff. And by the time you're 6 or 7, your hands will form their shape, and it'll be sort of like setting or gelling or, solidifying. It's like that. And that is going to impact you for the rest of your life. So if you can understand that, that's actually where I read a lot of compatibility. That's part of my system. Okay. And then you've got the lines and everything else in the hand, and the lines are actually very changeable. And I've actually got an example of that because I've been tracking a lot of people over the years. But here are 2 sets of hands. These are actually the same person. So, even if you don't know anything about palmistry, you can see that there's quite a bit of differences between these hands.
So many more lines in the one on the right.
Exactly. Yeah. So this person who I read for, she was in her 60s. And she was totally stressed out the first time I read for her. So that's this one here. Okay. She was under a lot of pressure. She was getting ready to quit her job. She was, getting divorced. I mean, there were so many things going on in her life. It was just like, when I saw her again 3 years later, she had completely changed her whole life. She had retired. She had, a new relationship. She was like so much happier. She actually looked younger the next time I saw her, and it showed in her hands. I was just amazed how much change
had happened. Incredible.
Yeah.
It was less lined, and is that something that happens?
Well, it can. Yeah, it can. It all depends on your ability to make the changes that you need to make. So that's why I feel like the information in your hand is super useful, but it also can be a tool to guide you in what changes do you need to make in your life to make you happy and fulfilled. So I don't really like to approach it from a fatalistic perspective of this is what's going to happen here. And this, you're gonna, I don't even look at stuff like that, because it's like, okay, well, it can change. So I like to empower people with the information so that they can make better choices in their life. And
In fact, I was
I
just
mean,
going to ask you, Cynthia, because in India, traditionally we go to a palmist and they'll tell us, you'll have this many children, or you'll have there's an accident likely to happen, or they'll predict things. They'll predict a whole bunch of things. They very rarely really tell us about who we are, or uh, it's not so focused on insights usually. At least that's the traditional experience of palmistry. What can hands really tell us, though? What all
so
can hands tell us?
yes. So first of all, I would not read children in the hands because I haven't found that to be accurate
Okay.
based upon all my studies that I've put in. I just don't find it accurate. So I don't even read children. Okay. Length of life has also been disproven because again, any of your lines can change. So traditionally you would look at the lifeline, right?
Mm.
And you would look at how long it is. I've read for a lot of people with short lifelines who are older people.
Mm.
So I look at it more like the root chakra. It's your stability, it's your vitality.
Okay.
Definitely you can see problems. Okay. So you can see things like an accident or a change, instability, things like that. But I don't necessarily know if it's like really tragic or, you know what I mean? I did read for a girl. She was in her mid 20s and
Hmm.
she died in her mid 20s. And I had actually known her for years. So I had tracked her hands for years. So after she died, I looked up her hands because I was very curious.
Hmm.
And I wanted to know, was there any kind of indicator that could show that there was a warning? And sure enough, there was. And I remember actually talking to her about it while she was alive because she was a daredevil. She was one of those, she was a skier, she was super athletic, but she took so many risks,
Hmm.
almost to the point of like, you're going to get injured. And she did. She got injured a bunch of times. She blew her knee out skiing. She
Gosh.
dislocated her shoulder skiing. And she was a mountain climber as well. This was back in Colorado when I was living in Colorado.
Hmm.
And so I looked at her lifeline and she had a fade on her lifeline in 2 locations. So it's like normally you would want to see a clear line, and the quality of the line is definitely very important. But she had a fade in her line and then it faded back in.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is where she died. And it was, it was really amazing to see that I had it all recorded on her prints.
Hmm.
It was tragic. She fell off a mountain. She fell like 1,000 feet off a mountain.
Oh,
And my husband and I both knew her.
Hmm.
But I had warned her, I'm like, you need to stabilize yourself. You need to ground yourself. I did give her warnings. I told her, don't take so many risks.
Hmm.
But, sometimes, we go when we go. And I do believe we go when we're supposed to go. I don't feel like the soul is eternal. She's probably already back in. I guess she's that kind of person, right? She was so exuberant.
So in the context of relationships, and what can I look at my hands and find out?
Oh, your hands are so amazing. They tell you about your entire emotional system.
Okay.
So you can understand how you feel, how you express those feelings. You can understand what kind of feelings are that you need to work through. So for example, if you have a blockage or a stress, you can see all of that through the hands. You can see how sensitive you are. You can see how much giving energy you have versus receiving energy you have. And ideally you would have a balance there, but you can see if you're out of balance. You can also see how sensitive you are. So, some people are naturally more sensitive than others, and that's something to be aware of, and you can tell that in a partner as well. So there's some beautiful things that you can read. You can also tell your communication style, you know, I mean, it's amazing how you present yourself. You know, are you, like, for example, do you need to be the one on stage, or are you more of a behind the scenes kind of a person, you know? And that can make a big difference in a relationship. If you're the outgoing one, you can see how outgoing or how introverted you are. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. How dominant is your willpower? You know, are you more of like that forceful kind of person? Stubborn, you know, how stubborn are you? You can see that. How open are you versus how closed are you?
Okay.
You know, and a lot of people, they might not even realize that they're any different than anyone else. But after reading so many hands, I can certainly tell you what's normal and average versus what's not. So it's so fascinating.
Shall we take everyone through an exercise? Yeah, like a group exercise. We take a look at one element. Could we take a look at the heart line, because we're talking about
Everybody loves to talk about the heart line, because that's something that we all pretty much know. If we know anything about palmistry, we know the heart line. So I actually have a little.
So I'm going to request everyone. Cynthia, how should we do this? Should we ask everyone?
Why don't I take everybody through the 4 basic types of heart lines, and I'm going to show you what they look like.
Yeah.
So I'm going to actually draw this on I've got a whiteboard here. Okay, so we will first look at the fire heart line. Okay, so this is what a fire heart line looks like. Okay.
So I should be looking at my right hand?
No, you can look at either hand. This just happens to be the way I drew it. But yeah, so the heart line actually starts underneath your little finger, and it will go towards either your middle finger or your index finger. Okay, so
is that right? That's the line.
It's the major. The major line. Sorry.
I'm just asking everyone on the call, can everyone see? Just type with big yes in Telegram. If you can see the line and you know which line we're looking at. Yeah. It's from your little finger. So I'm looking at my left hand. Cynthia, a quick question. The line looks different on both my hands. Does that mean I have 2 hearts?
Okay, that's a good question, because you're right. It does matter which hand you're looking at, what's going on. Okay, so I do read both hands, by the way. So the hand that you write with, we would normally call that the active hand.
Okay.
And for the heart line, that's going to represent how you emotionally relate to people in public.
Okay.
Okay, so you can think of acquaintances or friends, you know, people that are not as deeply connected. On your passive hand, it's going to be more of the intimate, very, very close relationships.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and that's for the heart line. Okay. So that's the line we're talking about. So that's your emotional connection line. Okay. So when you have this type of formation, we call this a fire heart line. So it's short and curved. Okay. So a fire heart line is somebody who is very expressive. Okay, so anytime the heart line curves, that shows expressiveness. And when it's short, it means that it's the energy, it comes up and out very quickly. Okay, so this person doesn't feel as deeply, but they feel immediate. Okay, so a fire heart line person is most likely to fall in love first. And they're probably also likely to fall out of love first. So the energy comes up and out very quickly. When you think of fire, you can think of how it like burns, but then it also burns out, right? So it's quick. Okay. So somebody with a fire heart line, they wear their emotions on their sleeve, right? You know exactly what they're feeling every second of the day. Okay, but they also just get it done. So for example, if they're angry, well, they'll probably be angry for a few minutes and then they're done. Okay. Or if they're unhappy, they're not going to be unhappy forever. They're just going to get it up and out.
Okay.
Okay, so there's benefits to all the heart lines, but that's the benefit to the fire heart line.
So does it have to be short, or can it be curved and long as well?
No. This is considered short and curved. This is fire.
Okay.
Okay. So moving to the long and curved, we can go to that one next. Okay, we'll stay with the curved lines. So the long and curved will go all the way over to Jupiter, which is our index finger. All the fingers, by the way, are named after the Roman gods. Okay, so this one will carry over into the index finger area. Okay, we call this a water heart line. Okay. Now, water heart lines, they feel a lot more, okay, because that water is flowing. And so I call this the big sweetie pie type heart line. It's like the mother, you know, the one who wants to take care of you. It's like, okay, do you need something to eat? Let me go fix you something to eat. Do you need to be tucked into bed? Let me go tuck you into bed. Okay, so this is the mothering person, and I would also just call it the nurturer, right? The challenge with the nurturer, though, is, are you actually wanting to receive what they're offering? Okay, so my mom has this heart line. And she always wants to do my laundry, even though I'm an adult now. Every time I go see her, she's like, can I do your laundry? And I will always tell her, no, I can do my own laundry. It's so funny. So she's so beautiful. She's a wonderful mother. She's a fantastic mother, but she's always trying to push stuff on me. She's always trying to feed me. It's hysterical. So, so that's the water heart line.
So I'm just going to check with everyone. Has anyone found themselves to have a fire line and a water line? We'll take a look.
Okay.
Yeah, Cynthia, go, please.
Okay.
We'll go
moving on, we've got the short, straight heart line. Okay, so heart lines do not always curve. Sometimes they just go straight across the hand. Okay, so this is what we would call an earth heart line. Okay, so an earth heart line, I nicknamed this one the James Bond. Okay. Okay.
I'm curious to know why.
Well, because it's dangerous to feel.
Oh.
You could actually be killed if you feel anything or if you express your feelings. So an earth heartline person is not going to share what they're feeling. They're going to keep their emotions very hidden. They're going to be the one who is kind of stoic. And they don't even think about emotions most of the time because they're too busy saving the world, right? So they have other more important pressing matters. And so emotions are just not on their radar. It's like they just don't think about it. But it doesn't mean that they don't feel, because they may be the ones who are slower to get into the relationship. But once they get in, it is set in stone. Okay, so my dad actually had this heart line. And he never talked about his own feelings. When growing up, you know, we never knew what he was feeling. And he was actually in a job where he wasn't allowed to talk about his job. And so he was in like security clearance type work where he had to keep things very secret. And it was the perfect job for him because he could keep his secrets so well. And it didn't bother him. And so my mom, who was the giving, nurturing, was perfect for him because they had the synergy of the earth and the water. So when we look at compatibility, we look at the elements and how they play with each other. So the water nourishes the earth, and the earth is grounding for the water. So in terms of a heartline match, they were a very good match, and they were married over 50 years.
Oh, how lovely.
So it makes sense, right?
How lovely.
So that's the earth heartline. But, you know, try to get out of them what they're feeling. You know, good luck with that.
I just want to tell everyone, we'll raise your questions. I'm seeing a lot of questions, Cynthia, so I'm going to raise them once we've gone through all the different types.
Okay, yeah, we got one more to talk about, and that's the air heart line. And of course, the air heart line is going to be straight, just like Earth, but it's going to be much, much longer. Okay, so it's going to end under the Jupiter finger or the index finger. And this one is actually, I consider this the most romantic of the heart lines.
Oh.
Because, okay, so this person is very thoughtful about their emotions. They feel a lot. Okay, air actually does feel, but they don't express it necessarily in words. Okay, so what they do is they express it in experiences.
Oh.
Okay, so when you think about the romantic walk on the beach or the candlelight dinner with the perfect meal, an air heart line person is the one who sets that up.
Ah, okay.
And they're so beautiful. But they're inside, they're probably like, it's a jumbled mess. But they're very thoughtful. So they're, for example, if you're having a bad day, an air heart line person is the one who sends the note. I hope you feel better. I'm thinking about you. And it's just so beautiful to find that type of a heart line, because especially as a friend, they make very good friends, because they're going to be the ones to just take care of things for you and just be thoughtful. Yeah. I had a client actually who had this type of heart line, and she used to send me little cards every few months, you know, and they would have hands on them. She was so thoughtful about it.
Oh, they know what you would like.
Yes, yes.
They're sensitive to what you like, what you would like. Oh,
yes.
That's lovely.
But of course, the challenging thing with this type of heart line is that they can overthink things, and they can also fret and worry about it. So for example, once they go on that romantic date, they go home and they will literally go through the entire date in their mind. Did I do this right? Did I do that right? Oh, I could have done that better. And they can literally worry themselves to, you know, to the point of extreme. So they have to watch out for that.
Okay. Okay. So Cynthia, I have a whole bunch of questions here. In fact, Teresa raised it, and I was thinking about it myself because I saw the same thing. So Teresa, you and I both have this. We have our hotline goes and comes to the middle of our two fingers. So if you see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Teresa, does yours curve as well? Just let me know. So because mine curves quite a lot.
Yeah. Can you hold it a little closer to the camera?
There.
Yeah, I would still consider yours fiery, because I actually look at it right in between the phalanges. Okay, yeah. Let me draw a line here so you guys can see. So if it falls into the Saturn side, which is your middle finger, then I would consider it fiery.
Yeah, it does.
If it goes farther over into Jupiter, then I would consider it more watery.
Okay. So mine is kind of towards Saturn, I would presume.
Yeah, yours is fire. That's fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can tell us which side does your line go towards, and we'll take a look. We have another person, in fact, who's asked, Preeti's asked, my heart line goes in between middle and index finger. So Preeti, same thing for us, for all three of us. Spread
the fingers out and then just draw a line and see which side it falls on.
Okay.
So, and then if you still can't tell, by the way, just kind of look at it and then ask yourself, this is always a good question. Where does the line want to go?
Oh, how can you tell?
Well, you can tell just by looking at it. So sometimes if it's right on the edge, that's the question I literally will ask. Okay. Where does this line want to go? Okay. And it'll tell me.
Okay. There was one other question. Somebody said their line splits. So even mine, for example, I would think that line is splitting.
Yes.
Right?
Line splits are very, very common.
Okay.
So this is going to show emotional variation. Okay. So the dominant part of the line is going to show the dominant energy. Okay. So for you, Ruchira, I would say the fiery is your dominant. Okay. So normally you like to get things up and out, but sometimes you can't. Okay. That's where the split is coming in, and it's keeping it under the surface. Okay. So when your energy is, you know, because we're complex emotional beings, right? Things are not simple. So sometimes we do embody two different heart lines. And like you were saying about the two hands, sometimes they're totally different on the two hands. Okay. So that's another thing that can happen. And so again, you would
ask everyone to take a look at the heart line on their non-dominant, on their passive hand as well. Yeah. So if I look at mine on my left hand, so my left hand, I'm a right-handed person. So my left hand is my passive hand. And again, my heart line curves quite deeply, I would think. Right.
Yeah. Yours looks very similar on both of your hands.
Yeah.
Which indicates
but this one goes towards my index finger more than my finger.
Right. So again, your passive hand is going to show how you relate to your intimate people, right? Your close family, your close friends. So you're going to be a little bit more of the nurturer with those people. Okay. And on your other side, you're more of the fiery. So yeah, you're a little more on the watery side on your close side.
Okay. Okay. That's that's actually true. I mean, in the sense, I can totally relate to that. But I'd love to ask someone else. What if people found a waterline? If people found another, Bharti says she's found a waterline. Can we take a look, Cynthia, at Bharti's hand and see what it says? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So, Bharti, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Let me find you on the. Okay. Let's take a look. Bharti, can you unmute yourself? Just going to see if. Okay, I can't spot her. Let's look at Vandana. Vandana also has a water line. That's, Vandana, can you unmute yourself? We'll just take a moment. We can.
Hi.
Hi, Vandana.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi, Cynthia.
Nice to meet you.
Same here, same here. I've been enjoying your talk. So
thank you.
Should I show you my dominant hand like this?
Sure, yeah. Hold it up for me. Okay, yeah. You have, it looks like 2 branches. So you've got, you've actually got what we call a partner preference marker. Okay.
What does that mean?
You have 2 branches going up to Jupiter. Okay. So in about 10% of hands, this will happen. And it shows a preference for a specific type of partner. Okay, so that's why we call them partner preference lines in the heart line. And that shows that you have a preference for what I would call the Jupiterian, okay, because it's your Jupiter finger that it's heading towards. So that means that you need somebody with qualities of leadership. You need somebody who is able to see a bigger picture of things, has a bigger vision, has strong ideals, and is somebody that you can look up to. So that's the type of partner I would recommend for you, somebody that encompasses those qualities.
I've been married for 33 years. I think it's a bit too late.
Well, hopefully your partner has those qualities because
No.
it's showing your preference.
Okay, okay. And what
Okay.
about the left hand?
Yeah, on your left hand, it looks like your primary is actually Earth with looks like a little bit of a break in the heart line, which is also very common. Okay, so a lot of people will have breaks in their heart line showing emotional stress. So it could represent periods where you went through either a breakup or just an emotional, it's literally an emotional break. So it could be somebody in your life that you had either a death or a challenge with, or it could be just something emotionally that still wants to heal, which is also very common. So it's not uncommon to see breaks. It's actually very, very common. So yeah, but it shows different emotional levels, and you're comfortable at that earthy level of like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that emotion.
Yeah,
I don't want to look at it, so literally we bury it, right? And sometimes that's easier to deal with than processing.
Right.
And again, there's no judgment or anything on it. It's just, that's just what it's showing.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank
Cynthia.
you. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, you too.
That's great. Cynthia, we had asked everyone to send us some images of their hands. And so we could take a look and give them some insights into what are the things that they can see in their heartline that tells them about their soulmate. Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to request my colleagues to just share screen and show some of these. Yeah?
Okay.
So this is from Ramlin.
Okay.
Ramlin, can we unmute you? Okay, I've sent in a request to unmute you.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Hi, Ramlin.
Hi.
So do you have a question about your hands?
My question is, when I think that my heart line goes to Saturn, the middle finger, but then there's like a faint line that looks like it goes to Jupiter. So I don't know if it's broken or it just gets fainter. So
to me that looks like a fork. So very common to see forking. So yeah, your dominant is fire. You're a little bit like Rushira because she also had sort of that forking. So you have another branch that's more airy. So part of you will keep your emotions in and be thoughtful, but also you have the ability and your preference is actually to express yourself.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Cynthia. Shall we take a look at another one?
Sure.
And Cynthia, you can just tell us. So this is from Sonia, and you can just tell us what you see, what you can tell us about their heartline. And
okay, so yeah, the primary heartline appears to be Earth. And then she's got a branch that appears to be heading towards Jupiter. Again, this is very common to see this because it shows that the energy is more reserved. So the earthy heartline is going to be a little more cautious. So to me, I would say that it takes you a little bit of time to actually get comfortable in sharing your feelings with others. So it's almost like there's a little bit of a, not a barrier so much as just there's a discernment in like, okay, I'm not just blurting everything out. I'm not just sharing everything. I'm taking a pause to get to know that person, and then I'm letting it out. Okay. And then also I would suggest with this type of heartline, make sure you take care of your own emotional needs first, and then take care of others. So that's the preference, and at least inside, that's the preference.
Okay. That's really, really very sharp as an insight, Cynthia. That's really wonderful. So we'll ask Sonia to respond on the group on Telegram if this resonates with her. And we'll take a look at another one, and then we're going to come and talk about how you help people to create that soulmate connection, to ignite that soulmate connection. What are the steps they need to take? What is it that they need to understand? Oh, Sonia says, bang on, Cynthia.
Okay.
That comment just came up. So we're going to come back and look at how we're going to, how these insights are going to help us, and what are the steps that you, Cynthia, have developed as a program to help people make these soulmate connections. Okay, so we're going to quickly take one or two more.
Okay.
This is Sandhya's hand. Sandhya, you have, my goodness, hardly any lines. That's a really nice.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to actually talk about something other than the heart line on this hand, because the Venus mount is so huge. Okay. Oh. So that's this lower section of the hand. Okay. So this is called Venus. Okay. And everybody can take a look at your hand, and mounts in the hand show available energy. Okay. So and Venus should be the big mount. It represents our giving energy. It represents our vitality. And you can think of this as like the physical pleasure part of your hand. Okay. So this Venus is really big. And so that tells me that you're an exuberant person who has a lot of energy, and you really have a lot of giving potential. So when you think about the potential of what wants to come through that hand, you know, this reminds me of a client of mine who had a hand like this. He used to always try and feed me. He would always be bringing me snacks when I was working. And he was so thoughtful about that. He just wanted to enjoy that physical pleasure of food. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you'll see this on people who are cooks or chefs, you know, they just want to feed you.
I'm looking at my hand and I'm thinking, yes.
So that's the first thing I notice about this hand. It's very big Venus.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's look at another one.
Okay, let's see.
Mona?
Okay, Mona. Yeah, I'm trying to see. She's got her fingers curled in just a little bit, which makes it a little harder to read. It looks like an earthy heart line to me, so a little more reserved. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll read things too when people actually, the way they hold their hands, I read stuff like that too. So there's a little bit of a shyness with you, that maybe you don't want to know everything. Maybe there's a part of you that's afraid of what I might find out. So I would recommend that you trust. Okay, this is what I would definitely recommend for you. Trust in the process, trust in yourself most of all, and don't be afraid to actually explore things that are maybe not so comfortable. That's what I'd recommend.
So Cynthia, while you made that recommendation, bang, 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 I started seeing the comments, the responses from Sandhya and Romlin. Sandhya has written that, bang on, I'm always the mama at work who takes care. So true. Romlin says, yes, I'm always feeding folks. Loving your reading, Cynthia. Thank you. Amazingness.
Oh, good. Well, thank you.
This is so incredible. So when you talked about that Venus mount, Cynthia, like I looked at my hands, and I cook a lot, and I love, and what you said, it's not just about looking after people or taking care, but it's also from that experience of sharing food and the pleasure of food. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That mount also relates to it can relate to music. It can relate to just the pleasures of life.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what makes life worth living? What makes it enjoyable? Being in a physical body. Yeah. You know, so I mean, we have to eat every day. So yeah, the natural place is food, but it could also relate to, you know, some people like to dance, or, you know, just that kind of energy, or they listen to that beautiful music piece and they really get into it. the Venusians can truly appreciate it.
That's you're so, it's astounding how it's almost like you've known me for 20 years.
That's what I love about hands. You know people really quickly, really deeply.
Yeah, and I can't imagine applying this and now looking at somebody, you know, if I'm considering someone to date someone, or if I'm looking at my partner's hand, to be able to get such astounding insights. That's amazing. And insights into what I would require, what I need in the relationship, what he needs in the relationship. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's such a great tool. I mean, I feel like palmistry is like the best kept secret. It really is. It's so amazing if people only knew all the things that you could learn from it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's time for it to get put back where it belongs. And it belongs at the top of everybody's mind.
Yeah, yeah. True,
yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm eager to find out how your process is. What is the process that you take us through in your package? So I'm going to request Shilpa to stop sharing screen so we can take a look at what is the process that you suggest to people, and what that helps them achieve in their, whether they're married or whether they are single and looking for a soulmate, whether they're married and, you know, they want a deeper connection, they are missing certain things. Very often I'm like, all my friends are married, and I see them, you know, sometimes say that I'm not getting either the attention from my husband that I'm looking for, or the care, or sometimes life becomes really routine and you kind of forget how to take pleasure in togetherness, how to feel together. You kind of, you have kids and you kind of, you know, get so focused on running the household and managing your kids, and in this lockdown, managing work and everything else as well. It's so hard to feel that soulmate connection. Even if you have a soulmate, you kind of forget how to be each other's soulmate. It's almost like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, that reminds me of a story of a client that I worked with who was married, had been married for about 10 years. And he came in with his wife, and I had read for him prior, and they also had hired me for a party. So I did quite a bit of work with them. So they both felt pretty comfortable coming to see me. And we looked at their archetypes, okay? And this was really cool. And there are 22 archetypes that are in your hands. Okay. And they relate to the hand shape. Okay, this is the branch of palmistry called chirognomy, which is forms by the time you're about 6 years old. And what I learned was that he was an administrator archetype. He had an air hand, and he had a strong middle finger or a Saturn finger. And he had this strong sense of duty to work with his community. He wanted to be on the city council, and, you know, he just wanted to be of service, right, to the community. And she felt totally neglected, right? She's like, you spend too much time on everything else and you don't care about me. And she was a fiery person, okay? So she had a chariot hand, which is actually a very, very good match. And so they were well suited. I could see why they had been together for so long, but she wasn't living her chariot. And so he was living his administrator. I felt like he definitely had his, you know, he knew what he wanted to do. He loved his wife so much that he wanted to help her. And he was frustrated because obviously he didn't know what to do for her. So once we discovered her chariot archetype, I started to tell her about her fiery energy. And I said, you know, what do you do as far as like getting dressed up to be like sexy? And, you know, do you ever do that? And she's like, no, you know, and then she talks about her wardrobe. No, it's kind of frumpy. And, you know, like we started talking about that. And so I told her, okay, well, first of all, you need to start wearing more fiery, vibrant colors. That's going to make you feel better. And then you need to start looking at your energy of like, okay, instead of waiting for him to figure his stuff out. You need to have something where you can go and you can charge into it. So I started asking her about her hobbies and things like that, and what would make her feel fulfilled, because she needed to have something outside of the relationship to fulfill her. And she wasn't doing anything. She was just sitting at home waiting for him to come home.
Yeah.
And so we started talking about that. And she had this big aha, right? in her mind, like, oh my gosh, this makes perfect sense. And I told her, you need more girlfriends. You need to like go out and dress up and have fun, and, stop being so, chariot types, they can be quite extroverted. So if they're pushed inside too much, that's probably not good for them.
What is a chariot type, Cynthia?
A chariot is a charger. So their energy moves very quickly. They need to have goals. They need to have things that they like to do. They need to have projects, and they need to be, it needs to be something that fulfills their soul level. So if it's not just something mundane, or, it needs to come from within, that fires them up, that charges up their energy.
Okay.
So that's what they need. So and they need to move quickly. That's what they like to do. If they're stagnant for too long, you can think of like being stuck in the mud. That's not good for a chariot. So yeah, that's what I recommend.
There are 22 archetypes, Cynthia, and it helps to, what do the archetypes help understand?
Okay, so the archetypes actually tie in with the tarot. That's how I made the connection. Okay. I had been reading tarot for several years, and I recognized that the relationship archetypes were actually through the major arcana cards. So you can think of like the Magician, the Chariot, the Lovers, all of those, they represent the archetypes. So these represent subconscious influences that form in your hands by the time you're about 6. And there's actually a language to them, because again, we have the elements that are coming in, just like when we looked at those heart lines.
Yeah.
You have a primary element in your hand shape. So the same as the heart line: fire, air, earth, and water. And then you have a dominant, or what we call the strong finger, and the combination will create the archetype. Okay. So there's 16 that I consider primary archetypes, and then there's another 6 that I would consider secondary archetypes, and that's through the type of line. So you have a primary and a secondary element. Okay. It can get a little bit complicated, but it's super useful to know, and it can help people understand not only what their energy is, but what their partner's energy is subconsciously. And when you work with it and you bring it into the consciousness, it's like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. When I learned my husband was an investigator, it was amazing to me, because it made so much sense. It's like, he has to share, he has to go and find things out. He likes to study stuff, and then he brings the report back to me, and he likes to report back what he learns. And so that's so perfect. And he loves to communicate to other people what he discovers. And if I didn't give him that ability to, like, in our marriage, we would not have a very good marriage. It just wouldn't work very well. So I honor that in him, and I let him go explore and investigate, and then bring back the information. And it's perfect.
That's amazing. So basically, it helps me to understand what my partner needs, and create that space and enable him to enjoy that as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it just is another level of understanding, so that you can be, in my opinion, if you understand somebody, you will be more compassionate towards them.
Yeah.
And even people who you don't necessarily get along with, like, for example, me and my sister don't really gel too well, but I can understand her from the perspective of like, okay, she's got these tendencies in her hands.
Yeah. And
I let it be, I don't try to change her or judge her, it's like, we're
so
just
less conflict as well, and a smoother relationship.
Yeah, it smooths things out for sure, because it just builds in that understanding.
Mm-hmm. Oh, fantastic. Okay. All right. I've got like loads and loads of comments here. Uh, Somebody's written, this is so incredible, almost unbelievable. Nishi says, super fascinating. Okay. So, Cynthia, I'm going to share my screen and take us through your program so we can understand how we get here.
Okay, sure.
1 second, I'll just share the right one. So I have so many things open. Okay, and let's just, okay. So I know the overall program is Ignite Soulmate Connections with Palmistry. Could you take us through, Cynthia, in terms of the steps that help us to get to that, to get to attracting that soulmate, or establishing, if you're already married, to establishing a deeper soulmate quality of connection with them?
Yes. So I developed my soulmate system mini course to guide people through not just an understanding of themselves. That's definitely part of it. But I also want them just to start to rethink how, like, what kind of partner do they actually want? And being able to recognize the different partners and the different types of relationships that are out there. Okay. So for example, if you're looking for just a fling, you know, maybe you don't want a serious relationship. Well, then it doesn't really matter too much. Like, just go out there and find somebody, right? Like that's an option. Okay. And there's, again, no judgment on any of this. Yeah. But if you're looking for something that's going to last and it's going to be deep and long-term, you know, that's a whole different energy. And so part of what I try to help people with, and I'm all about soulmates. I've been in very long-term relationships pretty much my entire life. My first boyfriend I was with for 5 years. Then I got married to my husband for 19 years. Then I got divorced, and I was with, even my fatal attraction was a 2-year relationship, which is still pretty long. And then I've been with my husband now for over 3 years. And I just want that for everybody. I want everybody to find that connection where they have that deep, long-lasting love. Okay, so, and the hands really are the map. They're the roadmap to the answers that you may be looking for. And what I love about it is it's tangible. So all you have to do is learn how to read it, which I teach you in my system. You get to, you know, dive gently, because it's complicated, right? We dive gently into the language of hands to keep it in a practical manner. So part of my mini course includes understanding how do I read the hand shape, how do I read some of the basic stuff, and start to recognize that in myself. And then I also go through, because for me, it's also about healing. Like I've been involved in healing work now for over 20 years. So a big part of what I like to help people with is understanding their past relationships. We all have stuff that we've gone through before. Yeah. I mean, you can't be on this planet and not go through stuff. Yeah. So I definitely want people to have some tools that they can use to understand and learn the lessons from your past relationships so that you don't have to repeat them if it's a pattern that you don't like.
That's also true in the context of, Cynthia, even if I'm married, for example, and I've had lots of, let's say, there are some pain points between my partner and me. And we've always had like the same fight. It's so common, like, you know, you have the same fight over and over again. And it kind of settles into your heart and in your mind that it's always going to pan out exactly in the same manner. And you kind of carry that baggage, right? So this helps you to release that. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. Part of what I like to help people with is actually getting through some of the challenges. and working through some of the challenges. So that's part of the soulmate system course. We're always going to look at ourselves in great detail. It's just, you can't avoid it. Okay. If you're looking at hands, you're going to learn about yourself. And it's not to be anything to be afraid of. It's something actually it's an empowerment tool, because once you become aware of something, guess what? It can start to shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in my opinion, the number one thing that people need to do in order to really attract their soulmate is they have to be willing to change. And if you're not willing to change, then you're just going to keep the same patterns over and over and over again. And you're going to keep attracting whatever it was that you've been attracting. So if you want to attract something different, you have to be willing to change. And that's a big, big key. So
that's fantastic. So I'm just going to recap for everyone, Cynthia. This is one element of the first package. Yeah, this is just one element that gives you all these insights and enables you to change, to find out how you can bring that change and to get you prepared. It's almost like Cynthia and I were talking about this earlier in the day, and I said it's almost like preparing your house for guests to arrive. So you clean it up, you redecorate, you make it attractive, you clean out any old things that are not, functional anymore, that are not working for you. You basically take stock again, and you recognize what you require as well.
Yes.
What you need as well from that soulmate connection. And it helps you prep to go to the next stage, which is to move
into success. Yes, a successful mindset. So this is the other thing I love about hands, is they tell you all sorts of stuff about how to be successful. Okay, so again, to be successful, there are different elements that need to be in place. So I created this course as a palm reading course. So, and it's designed to be very small little chunks every day. You can easily get overwhelmed in palmistry, and that's why I think probably not too many people study it at the level that I do, because it's like, oh my gosh, there's too much. I'll never remember this. And then they just throw it away. So I've tried to take it down, chunk it down where it's very, very easy to learn and then apply. And so I created this 31-day course where you get to apply it to your relationships. You can apply it to just anything really, but it's to start to reprogram your brain. Because when you move into a successful mindset, you can create anything you want in your life. And, when I went through my divorce, I was in a really dark space. I actually had vertigo for 9 months, where I woke up one morning and literally the room was spinning and I felt like I was drunk. And I went to the doctor and they told me I had vertigo, or they called it labyrinthitis. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term. It's really weird. But basically they're like, well, you probably have an imbalance in your head or whatever. I knew it was emotional. It was totally the emotion and stress of my divorce was manifesting in this illness. And I literally couldn't walk straight. And I had that for 9 months. So what happened was the universe put me on my back. I couldn't even drive for, I think, about a month. And it was really like horrible, right? It was this horrible experience. But what it did was it was trying to get me to move into a successful mindset. It's like, okay, stop feeling like you did something wrong. I was putting so much blame on myself. I felt incredibly guilty because I grew up in a culture in Utah. I actually grew up in Utah, which is very conservative. And divorce was simply not something we did. It's like you get married, you're married forever. You never, ever get divorced unless you want to be totally shunned. And so I felt like a total failure. I felt like life was, I felt like a total failure. So I think I got put on my back for a reason because I literally could only close my eyes. That was the only thing that could make me feel better, was to be flat on my back with my eyes closed. And I started to think, okay, I need to change this. I need to move out of this. I need to do something different. And slowly but surely, I pulled myself out of it, and it took some time. I did a lot of meditation. I did so much healing work during that time. I pulled in every single tool that I had, which I had a lot of tools by then. I used every single one of them. And I learned that you can overcome anything. So wherever you are in your life, it's okay. There are ways to get through. And this course is part of that. So I take you through some fun things in your hands. I give you some tools to just move into that mindset.
So there are actions that you tell us, Cynthia, that we can take. There are exercises that we can do to move into that mindset.
Yeah, every day I give an affirmation that I want you to focus on. So we focus on one area of success every single day for 31 days. Okay. And yeah, and you can look at your hand. I give the hand examples, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Okay. I have a question here, Cynthia. There's somebody who says that, affirmations, they've not always felt a major shift with affirmations. Is that something that could be problematic?
Well, there are ways to enhance it. So I could definitely help them with that. I've worked with affirmations. I'm certified in a modality called Psych K. I don't know if you've ever talked about it or heard about it. But,
we have.
Yeah, so I actually take pieces of that and I've tied it in with different mudras, which I've actually channeled these different mudras for the archetypes. So I've got some tools to help you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's look at. So that's the third element of packaging. Yeah.
Yes.
Where what we discussed earlier about understanding the archetypes, and you mentioned that it also helps you understand what not to go for.
Exactly. Exactly. Sometimes it's better, especially if it's early on in that relationship, just, move along, don't waste your time. So, so the last key is I do a verification of your archetype, and I'll do for you. And if you have a partner, I'll do your partner as well. You get a PDF report from me. And it's just a short summary, just so that you have a description of your own archetype and a lot of times people will, they start to read their hands, they're not sure, I understand that. I was the same way when I started reading hands. I was, a little hesitant. It's like, am I seeing this right? I totally get that. So I'll verify your archetype for you. Okay.
And Cynthia, you'll verify mine as well as my partner's?
Yes.
Okay. That's fantastic. That's basically like the work's done for me.
Yeah, I'll do that part for you.
And then there's a bonus which has the email support. So everyone can write into you and check, and if they have questions while they're on their journey of understanding, of making these trips, of practicing the steps that you've told them, they can email to you, right? All through.
Yeah. I mean, this is my passion. I mean, this is what I do. I love to see people grow from what they learn from their hands, and I'm really passionate about people finding love, because I found it myself, and now I just want to share it with everybody. So if I can make it easier for you, yes, I definitely want to support you.
Okay, so we'll just take, Cynthia, will you just share with everyone? We'll go through the three elements plus the bonuses.
Right, so the Soulmate System mini course has 9 lessons in it. And you would get a video. It comes with a video and a PDF. Okay. So every day you'll have something to go through. Mm-hmm. Then you'll have the 31-day Success in Your Hands course, which is audio and a PDF. So again, you'll have pictures of hands. You'll be able to follow along. Mm-hmm. The relationship archetype verification, you need to email me your hands in order for me to read them, obviously. And then I will email you back your verification, and you'll have a short description of what that looks like. And then you can always email me if you have questions along the way. Very easy. I will answer you. I may not answer you immediately, but I will answer you. I promise.
Okay, and you have an amazing offer on this, right, Cynthia?
Yeah, very amazing.
Share with everyone.
It's practically free. Yeah, really. I mean, considering the amount of work I put into all this, it really is. Yeah, so,
please,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Please go ahead.
So yeah, so for the first 10 buyers, we're offering this really incredible price of 3,000 rupees, or just $47 US.
So that's 88% off. My goodness. Mm-hmm. So this is the price, of course, for the first 10 buyers. You're getting all that preparation in terms of understanding what you need, what your partner needs. You're getting the verification of the archetypes from Cynthia, where you send in your hand and your partner's hand. You also get the 31-day Success in Your Hands online course, which also tells you that what are the key steps you need to take. So if you've been facing conflict in your relationships, or if things are not, if you're not being able to experience that soulmate connection, you take those steps, you do those exercises, and it gets you to that stage, to be able to see what will make that soulmate connection happen for you. Yeah. And that's for 3,000 rupees. My goodness.
Yeah, I was going to say, for people who don't know me, this is the best deal I've ever offered in a very, very long time. So yeah, I really hope people take advantage of it, because I really want people to use the system, and I really want them to be successful.
It's fantastic. So generous, Cynthia. We're going to share with everyone package B as well. So package B is everything in package A, and plus you have 2 more elements.
I do.
Share with them the 2 elements.
I consider these 2 extra elements to be very, very important. And I want to talk a little bit about the heart chambers. So there really is so much in the hands, which is of course why we haven't had time to talk about everything. But there's another section of the hands called the heart chambers. And there are actually 10 heart chambers that show up in your hands. And these actually represent different emotional aspects of yourself. Okay, so the heart line is your overall emotional flow. Your heart chambers show specific emotional areas. Okay, so if you have a blockage in one or more of your heart chambers, it can actually prevent you from finding that success that you're looking for. It can keep you lonely, and it can also keep you from attracting the soulmate partner, and instead attracting a toxic relationship or a fatal attraction. So it's really important to know your heart chambers. And for this part, I need to analyze this. I feel like it's much better if I do it. So I do. I offer it that way. And so I just need pictures of your hands. I look at all 10 areas for you, and I give you a report. So not only do you learn about which heart chambers are potentially blocked, but also I give you a process to work through them and heal them. And I have a really good story about this as well. I had a client who, she just got the report. She actually never got a reading from me, and she just got the report. And within 2 weeks, she emailed me back, and she said, I have to tell you that this heart chamber process really works, because I had the most amazing dream that I met this man she just had this like amazing healing process go through her dream. And she said, I feel so much better. And I was so happy to hear that, because if you're consistent with it, and she said she had been doing the process every day for 2 weeks that I gave her. So I really congratulate her for being diligent on the process. But it just goes to show that it can work. So it can work for you too. So it's fun.
Fantastic. And you have the live group coaching call as well as part of this.
So yeah, the live group coaching call, we're going to connect to the cosmic heart. By the way, I also will answer questions in this call. So if you, after you've gone through a few of the exercises, you know, I'll set this up probably a couple weeks after we do, you know, the call today. Mm-hmm. I send out an email where you can sign up for the group coaching call. You can ask questions in the call, and then we're going to work on healing. Okay. That's such a beautiful process. So I have over 20 years of experience in different types of energy healing. I'm going to bring in this really cool modality that maybe you've heard of, maybe you haven't. It's called Trinfinity 8. Okay. And we use fractals, which is really cool. So you get to see these fractals on the screen. They're so beautiful. And we're going to work on connecting to the cosmic energy. It's really a lovely process. You'll love it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so I'll just take everyone through the 2 elements that you are getting in package B, in addition to everything that was in package A. Yeah, that's you're getting the personal hand analysis with a heart chamber analysis report. Where you're going to basically look at what are the blockages, etc., and how to remove them. You're also going to get on a 45 to 60 minute live group coaching call, like Cynthia mentioned, and experience this beautiful, beautiful process. So I'm going to share what's this priced at usually. So just this is just we'll share with you. I think the team's already put up links to purchase, and so those have all these elements already listed that are part of the program. And Cynthia, do you want to take everyone through the usual price and what you're going to offer on this?
Yeah, so the usual price for all of this would be 47,500 rupees, but we're of course offering a special deal. For the first 10 buyers, it's 133 US dollars or 8,600 rupees. So 81% off for package B. And that's me actually analyzing your hands. It's a very good price. You can't even get an hour with me for this price. So it's going to be really cool. And the report is quite long too. So it's, you know, it's not a short report. The heart chamber report is pretty in depth. So I think you'll really enjoy it. And the group coaching, I love bringing people together because there's so much healing that can go on in a group. It's a lot of fun.
Cynthia, Nidhu's asking, can we do a sample of this healing that you do on the group coaching call? Can we?
We could. Yeah, we could.
Okay.
It's on my other computer, and I'll have to set up on that computer. But yeah, I have 2 computers, so it's all good.
Is this something that you can do on the demo tomorrow?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. All right. That's fantastic. Thank you. All right. We're just going to, and in case you want to consult Cynthia, there's also, Cynthia's offering a consultation as well.
Yeah, so if you want to do 60 minutes with me, it's 175 US or 13,125 rupees. And what's good about doing an actual reading with me is you will get so much information. I mean, you saw what I did just in, you know, a very short little amount of time. Imagine what the rest of your hand has to say. So it really is so much information. And I do record the session for you. And I also am a very good note taker. So I am one of those people where kids used to copy my notes when I was young. in school. And I love to take notes for you. So I'll make sure you have the full value of that hour.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's just $175. That's 13,125 rupees. I will just take, and you have a 90-minute consult as well, right?
I do, yeah. So in the 90-minute reading, what's great about that is we'll have a little bit more time to explore, and I'll be able to actually read every part of your hand, including your fingerprints, including your hand shape, including all of your lines. We go into both hands in incredible detail. You'd be amazed how much information is in your hands.
We've seen glimpses of that today, Cynthia. You've shown us what the different lines could tell us about ourselves, about our partners, how not to, what are the red flags that we need to look out for, how to not repeat those conflicts that we have, the same fights that we have with our husband or with our boyfriend. So how to break that pattern, how to be rid of any negative, negative baggage that we may still be carrying from an old hurt or even an old experience. To be able to be rid of all of that. That's fantastic. That's really, really fantastic.
I actually consider the private consultation could be the most important part of your whole life. I mean, it changed my life completely once I learned everything that was in my hands. Yeah. And I've had clients come back and tell me that years later, they would come back and say, that reading you did for me at the time, I didn't understand everything you told me, but I went back and listened to it again, and everything made so much sense.
I can imagine. Everything you said to me, Cynthia, has made sense to all of us. I've seen in the chat, I've seen how things that you've said about me as well. It makes so much sense. It's amazing. It's so bang on. That is the sharpness, the detail. It's so bang on. That is incredible.
Yeah, hands are amazing.
And you're giving a full report. There are two in the package B. I'm amazed that, my goodness, at 8,600 rupees, I'm getting that whole personal hand analysis with the heart chamber analysis. Plus, I'm getting that archetype verification for me and my partner from package 1 as well. So that's like 2 very in-depth reports that I'm getting, apart from everything else.
Exactly. I spend a lot of time putting these reports together. That's for sure. So
that's brilliant. Plus the live group coaching call, the 45 to 60-minute live group coaching call. And I'd like to just remind everyone, the email support that Cynthia is offering. In addition to that, you're also getting access to her community. So you're going to be on this journey, and you're going to be able to share it with others who are also on the same journey.
Yes, I've got a private forum inside of my membership. So you can post things in there. You can ask questions. Yeah, it's definitely a community. So I have a private Facebook group too. I could invite people into that as well.
That's fantastic. So I just want to quickly, because I'm seeing a lot of payments come in, like a lot of transactions happening. So I just want to remind everyone, this offer is only for the first 10 buyers, the 81% and the 88%. It's just package B is 8,600 rupees. Package A, which had the Soulmate mini course, the 31-day success in your hands course, and the relationship archetype verification, that was for 3,000 only. Both of those are only open. That price is only open for the first 10 buyers. So get in there. I think we've crossed quite a few. I'm going to request Amrish to keep the window open for a little bit longer, because I think there'll be people who are in the middle of the transaction. We've seen that quite often on our calls. So I definitely want to give everyone a chance to avail this beautiful, beautiful offer. So much generosity, Cynthia. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question, Cynthia. Somebody's asking, can they also buy this as a gift for their male friends? They can.
Sure. I work with men just as well as I work with women. So yeah, absolutely.
That's brilliant. It's a really cool gift as well. 3,000 rupees and or just 8,600 rupees, and you're giving this huge course. So the course works for men as much as for women, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, great. Cynthia, can you do some readings on Telegram after this call? Yeah.
Sure.
Everyone's clamoring for it. So I know how generous you are, so I'm going to request you to do a few more of those. We wanted to take on like a lot of people on the call today, but we were running out of time, and we have not even shared everything that you get to know from your hands. So we want to give them a chance to see what else they can find out from their hands.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah. Great. Okay, yeah. So everyone just be on the Telegram group because Cynthia's fabulous, and you'll be amazed at what she can tell you. All right, great. Thank you so much. We're going to close today over here. Any questions you have about the packages, about the courses and the reports from Cynthia, just put your question on Telegram, and Cynthia's going to be on the group all through today and tomorrow. So she can clear your doubts. She can tell you how the program would work for you. So if there's something in particular that you want to work on in your relationship, ask her the question, and she'll be able to answer you. Yeah, and we'll close here. Quick reminder: if you want to avail of this crazy offer, 3,000 rupees for that entire package A, Soulmate System mini course, the 31-day success in your hands, the relationship archetype verification of both your hand as well as your partner's, for just 3,000 rupees. Package B, everything together with personal hand analysis report, with the heart chamber analysis as well, and the experience of the 45 to 60-minute group coaching call. Yeah, all for 8,600 rupees. That's 133 US dollars. You get, as a bonus, you get email support all the way till October 31st, and you get access into, you get to join Cynthia's community, where you'll meet with other people who are also on this journey. Yeah. All right. One other thing I forgot to mention. Yes. On the 45 to 60-minute group coaching call, you can bring your partners.
Yes. Oh, that's right. I'm so glad you remembered.
So yeah, you can experience that cosmic heart energy together with your partner.
Yeah, it'll be fabulous.
That's really fabulous. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, okay, and we'll continue the conversation on Telegram.
Okay, sounds good.
All righty. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
everyone. There's Cynthia's on Telegram all through today and tomorrow, and she's going to be doing a demo call on tomorrow as well. We'll just, I'm going to just request the team to put up the time for the demo call. Cynthia, you said 9 a.m. would be good, right? 9 a.m. India time?
I think it's 9:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9:30 a.m. Okay. So 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, Cynthia's doing a demonstration call where she's going to give you more and more insights. And she's going to do some readings on Telegram as well. So stick around. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Keep a check on your emails. Keep a check on your messages. So you don't miss the demo call with Cynthia, and you don't miss all the action on Telegram. All righty. Thank you so much, Cynthia. It was lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, you too. Okay, thanks for sharing.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye.